My husband's been in a year-long affair with a younger woman, and I am in no financial position to leave, so I'm going to tell you something very important right now. If you're thinking about getting married or you're young and you just got married, I want you to remember never, ever, ever rely on a man 100% financially. Don't ever take the words, I'll pay the bills, you stay home, seriously. Don't ever do that. Because I'm telling you, it's probably one of the biggest mistakes I've ever done in my life. The biggest mistake.
Hey everybody, I'm Jenny Gage, and this is Life Take 2, where I share how my entire life collapsed when I found out that my husband was cheating on me and I had to start over again on the other side. Welcome to my channel. 22 years into my temple marriage to my Mormon returned missionary husband, Jake, I would find out that he had a double life, that he had cheated on me not just one time, not just two times, but by his accounts and by the evidence that I had gathered, dozens and dozens of times, as many as 100 affairs, and I will never really know. I think that what I found out was probably just the tip of the iceberg. After collecting tons of evidence and then confronting my husband via phone while he was thousands of miles away from me and hearing him confess and make some admissions about the double life that he had been living, I did what any wife in that situation would do. I went into absolute shock. I had been a stay-at-home mom because I was commanded by my Mormon church to be a wife and a mother and not to have a career unless something happened to my husband. I also got married at age 20 before finishing college or establishing any type of career. So I was pretty much screwed. I walked home from the gym that night thinking, I want to change the locks. I want to call him back and tell him to drop dead. I want to run away with my kids and never see this monster again. And that is not what I did at all. I actually go in depth into the night that I realized that I was trapped in the tradwife trap in a Substack article that I will drop in my description. The hardest part about that moment of realization that I was trapped in a hellish prison was that it also came with the moment of realization that it was a prison of my own making. 20-year-old Jenny had built the cage that would eventually lock 42-year-old Jenny away. If you followed me for any amount of time, you know that not long after that, I would receive my very favorite Valentine's card. This Valentine's card was from my husband. Not too long after the discovery of his double life, and I'm going to read a little bit. Also, you can just screenshot it if you want to. It's pretty fun. He put my maiden name on there. I think at that point, he wasn't sure what to do with me. So, Jenny Fisher, I'm sorry I've cheated on you. I've lied, deceived, I've withdrawn love our entire times. I've hurt you deep. You suffer at my hand. I've destroyed your innocent nature. I failed as a husband. I didn't offer security you needed. I've caused major damage to our family. I've worked against you. I didn't recognize you as my equal partner. I never understood your needs. Your needs have gone unmet for years. Most of all, you endure pain and torment with me. I don't feel empathy, which leaves you alone, insecure, and alone. Bum, bum, bum. Crazy part is not even the Valentine's card itself, though, or what this crazy man wrote. The crazy part is the fact that I, after reading this card, was just like, hug, kiss, smiles, and I was stuck in the tradwife trap. Thankfully, although I wouldn't have said that word at the time, Jake went into our marriage himself with a 19-year-old escort 2.5 years later, and that is where the Life Take 2 comes in and everything completely fell off a cliff. Now, first, I want to show you just a couple of random pictures of my life before. I had had a lot of benefits and advantages from being a Mormon tradwife. I did help run our businesses, and we were very successful because this man had a little personal helpmate, a personal assistant that was doing everything behind the scenes, taking care of the kids, beautifying the homes, providing his meals, ironing his shirts, and also running the businesses with him, but not to the degree that I know how to run a business. And running a family business doesn't always translate into being able to get a job with somebody else, but I am obviously working on that right now. So here's some photos of the $1 million homes that I had lived in, of the beautiful things that we had. We spent summers in Hawaii on the beach. We woke up Christmas morning and Telluride with our beautiful little Mormon children, learning how to ski in fresh powder. It was great. So many women do this. We fall in love, we quit our jobs, we have the babies, and we expect the men to take care of us. And the problem with that is that everything in our lives is now dependent on a man loving us. And that is considered a very high-risk behavior. If somebody else has control over what happens and you don't have any control, super high risk. Let me share a little timeline with you of how long it took my life to utterly unravel after that man fell out of love with me. 4 days until no groceries, no money, no bank account. And again, this is me not having control, not having know-how, not having education, not having good people around me advising me in anything, and just being really naive and trusting. I just assumed that we were going to figure out how to split everything and that Jake was never going to be a jerk. So I didn't feel like I needed to clean out the bank account or file anything with the court. I went to Trader Joe's 3 or 4 days after the end of my marriage to grab a couple of groceries for the kids, necessities like milk and bread and probably some lunch meat and cheese and stuff like that. And I just had 2 little bags of groceries, the Trader Joe's bags. And I swiped my card at the counter, and I can never forget that moment of shock that I had when it said card declined. And there should have been, I don't know, a couple $100,000 in there. And I swiped it again. Oh my God. Realized what had probably just happened, called a friend to Apple Pay me some money, bought the groceries, drove straight to the bank, and he had cleaned out every penny, and I never got it back, partly because I had a terrible attorney who we have filed complaints against. He has been officially censored by the Arizona State Bar, partially because you can do that. We hadn't filed for divorce yet. He moved the money, he hid the money, I never got a penny. 1 week until I lost my last little bit of income. I had been a stay-at-home mom for our entire marriage, but the last 6 weeks of our marriage, I was put on salary with a little job with our family windshield business. First of all, it was just really nice for me to go into the office every day and get paid for it and not just be showing up for free like I had done for so long. And it gave me a little bit of my own spending money. And I thought, oh, good, at least I have that little bit of income that I can buy some groceries for the kids. But a week after the collapse of our marriage, I drove into the office, sat down at my desk. Jake asked me to go in and talk to the partners, and I was gone. I would eventually get a sales job for my company back, and that's my real job today. If you need a windshield in the state of Arizona, I know a girl. 10 months until I would be evicted from my home. I would move into a rental for just a little bit of time, but then I would lose that too. Now, this bit is so important. If you are married or in any type of long-term relationship and you are not property owners, if you're a rental house girlfriend or wife, you are especially financially vulnerable. We were renting a condo at the end of our marriage, and Jake didn't even have to evict me. He just canceled the lease without telling me for a very long time. One day I went up to my office to get the mail, and the lady in the office on a Thursday said, I can't even tell you this because you're not on lease and you weren't even listed as a roommate. But on Saturday, the police are going to come remove you and your children from the home because your husband canceled it. After losing my condo, me and my children would rent a small home. By then, I had gotten an $11 an hour job as a school teacher. I had a family member help me with the down payment on this little rental house. And my divorce had finalized, and I had been awarded alimony and child support. I was utterly alimony and child support dependent. My only other source of income at that point was the $11 an hour, 4.5 hour a day job. That was all I could get at the time. So I would live in that house for a month, and then my ex-husband would just simply not pay that second month of alimony that I was dependent on, and I had no money, and I lost that home. From the October that my husband fell out of love with me until October the next year. That's how long it took for me to become homeless and go from living in nice homes and being able to feed my kids to literally sleeping on the street, sleeping in my vehicle, sleeping in chaise lounges, in friends' backyards, sometimes couch surfing, and sometimes staying with Kevin, who was a new boyfriend at the time, but was only renting one room with one of his friends. I have a Substack article in my description about the day that I packed up all of my stuff, put it in a storage unit, and found myself as a 45-year-old woman with children, completely homeless and with no resources. 4 months later, I would lose that car that I had been sleeping in, and that was a really great moment. There's a lot of complications into why I didn't actually own that vehicle and couldn't pay for that vehicle, and that was coupled with losing health insurance and losing clothing and furniture and all kinds of other things. We even lost our dog. I'm not a dog person, so I wasn't totally shook over that, but the kids were shook and it wasn't by choice. So I don't know about you, but I feel like this is a really heartbreaking timeline. And I wish that 20-year-old Jenny had had somebody tell her that this was a possibility. I have a lot of people come on my channel and say, but you just married a bad guy. And that is not the point of any of this. You can marry a good guy who's still going to leave you, just decide he doesn't want to be married anymore, cheat on you, do all the horrible things too. A good guy or bad guy doesn't matter. What matters is you having control over your own financial future. That's what I teach in my Man Proof Your Life classes. I'm going to do a follow-up video where I outline some of those steps. If I had still married Jake, I could have orchestrated my life in a way that I had control over the things that I really desperately needed to have control over. And the end of my marriage would have been completely different. I'm just going to give you one nugget right now, and that's the financial trust that I teach all of my Man-proof clients. If, when I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, Jake had just paid me $250 a month, deposited that $250 that we probably spent on dinner and stupid things anyway, into an account that was designated through the court as non-divisible, sole property of me, should our marriage dissolve, that would have been $3,000 a year. After 24 years of marriage, I would have had $72,000 sitting in the bank. I would have walked out the door, got myself a new car, put some money down on an apartment, gone back to college. None of my homelessness or anything would have happened with just that one little thing in place. Not to beat a dead horse, but even if I had married the good guy, it still could have ended the same way, and it does all the time. I hear from these women, oh, I was so in love. He was so amazing. We've been together for so long, had an amazing family, and now I'm screwed. Now for my favorite part of everything I do. I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you've ever gone through this, if you have any good ideas. And here's my ask on this video. Please subscribe always. I'm so honored when you do, but also, will you please click that share button? Send it to your nieces, your daughters, anybody who needs to hear this, the newlyweds down the street. Every woman needs to hear this message. Thanks for watching. Bye.